Hi, my name is Chris, and you're very welcome to YOGAHUB'S online studio. This class today is for you runners. It's a 30-minute flow, and it's really going to help build mobility and strength in your body. So it's really important that we bring breath into our body when we're running, that we learn how to activate the correct muscles that will help us bring stability into our runs and into our bodies, helping you to run a little bit more efficiently and maybe even longer runs. Enjoy. There's a lot of symbiosis between, or similarities between running and yoga is a really great complement to running, because what we're looking for in our run is to have that nice chi, that nice balance and that nice flow. And the nicest and most effective way of doing that is to be strong in your body, to have strength in your muscles that support you. So strong feet, strong calves, strong thighs. So learning how to activate and turn on those muscles before you go out on your run. And then when you come back from your run, understanding how to stretch out those muscles that have been supporting you in your run will help you to get longevity in your running, and irrespective of what level you're at, but also will help you to hopefully prevent injuries and help you maybe go a little bit further in your distance and maybe even a little bit faster in your runs. Okay, so we'll begin today with some nice breathing work. And this is a 30 minutes class, so it's a really lovely one to do maybe once or twice a week if you can fit it in. And if you think about when you're running, you know, the breath is so important. And the more fuller you can breathe and the better you can breathe, the more effective your run will be and the more energetic your run will feel, and the bouncier and the lighter you'll feel when you're running. So we'll come into a nice seated position. So whatever way you like to come into a seated position at the start of your yoga class. And just allow the shoulders to rest over the hips and your knees to just come away from one another. Nice big deep breaths to really open the lungs. Breathing in fully and breathing out fully. Breathing in fully and breathing out fully. And this is exactly like when you've been running for couple of kilometers, or maybe even that first kilometer can sometimes feel more tricky. You know, learning how to really get the breath right down into the base of the lungs can really help you to be more efficient in your run. So let's do that a couple of more times. Nice big deep breaths in and out. One more time in and out. Okay, so for today, we're going to just use maybe one block. So if you have a block, you can just bring it close by. If you don't have a block, you can use a nice thick hardback book. Okay, so we're going to begin down onto our backs and keep the knees bent and the feet onto the earth, and take a few moments to really connect the hips down into the earth and the shoulders down into the earth. Now keep the left knee bent and pick up the right leg. And just notice how your hamstrings and your calves feel, but we're really going to wake up the foot. So take the hands either side of the hips and just circle the foot in one direction. And just beginning to really open the sole of the foot, but also the Achilles. Another place where we can really get some problems when we're running is the Achilles tendon, which can lead to tight calves as well. So circling in one way and then circling in the opposite direction. Maybe a few little cracks and creaks, and that's absolutely fine. And then hug your knee into your chest and give your hip flexors a nice little massage. Take your knee out one way, circling it, and then circle in the opposite direction, taking note of how the hip feels today. And now maybe we'll straighten that left leg. When you straighten the left leg, if it feels in any way pulling or aggravating, just keep the knee bent, okay? Otherwise, straighten the leg and take the right knee out to the side. Use your left hand to keep the left hip down if the leg is straight. Keep the shoulders away from one another, opening the hips away from the center. Nice big deep breath here. In and out. Keep that right foot flexed. Well done. Draw the right knee back to center. Again, we're going to circle the hips. And circle in the opposite direction. Hug the knee in, hold it, massage the hip flexor. Now straighten that right leg. Take your hands behind the thigh. Flex the right foot. Be here for just a moment or two. Stay here. Nice big deep breaths. Chin comes down, relax the neck. Lovely. Take the right foot down and we'll do the same with the left leg. So both knees bent to start out with. Both feet down, both hands down. Nice big deep breath. Then pick up the left knee, flex the foot and straighten the leg. And begin to draw your circles, rounding that foot. And really try and get the arch working here. Really try and get the heel working. Circling for a few times and then circle in the opposite direction. And I can hear little creaks and cracks. It's little pockets of air coming into the joints. Nice. And then hug the knee into the chest. Flex that foot. Notice how your hip flexor, the muscles that attach the lower body to the upper body, notice how it feels. Now right hand onto the right hip. Again, you can keep this knee as it is, or you can straighten the leg away from you and open that left hip to the side, keeping the left foot flexed. Right hand onto right hip if the leg is extended. Both shoulders pressing down, chin to chest. Nice big deep breaths. In and out. Okay, lovely. Bring that knee back to center. Again, draw some nice circles. Taking it one way and then taking it in the opposite direction. Hug the knee in. Straighten the leg. Hands come behind the thighs, behind the left thigh rather. Left foot is flexed, shoulders are down, chin is down. Nice big deep breaths. In and out. Okay, lovely. So now the legs are nice and warmed up. Okay, bring the hips back to center, hug your knees into your chest, and gently roll the hips out and away from the center. And if you think about the beautiful shape of the hips, they are these gorgeous circular shapes. So you're really trying to invite space and fluid into the lovely hip joints. Okay, lovely. Legs come back down. Shift the hips to the left. Take the knees over to the right. And just opening that whole back hip area here. Cactus the left arm. And you can turn over to the left if you like or look straight up. It's completely up to you. Because we're using the back muscles when we breathe, we really want to create breath awareness to prepare us when we go out breathing, to really allow us to expand here when we're running. Big deep breaths. And then come back to center. Shift the hips over to the right, knees to the left. Cactus that right arm. Again, looking to the right if you like, or looking up. Noticing how the whole side body feels here. For one more breath. Okay, lovely. Coming back to center. Bring your feet to your heels. I'm going to pick up the hips, just gently pushing the knees away from you, lifting your hips, taking your hands down underneath your hips, your chin to your chest, lift up as high as you can. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths, for 2, for 1 more breath. Keep the inner thighs coming in towards one another. Feet are pressed down to the earth and drop the hips back down. Okay, lovely. Left foot onto right thigh. So we have this lovely angle. The left foot is flexed, knees in line with the hip, and pick up the right foot and take your 2 hands behind the thigh and hug the knee into your chest. Now try not to rock back and forth here. Just try and be nice and still, thinking about bringing that right knee in towards you. We're going to stay here for 5 breaths. You can straighten that right leg if you like. You don't have to. I kind of think it's nicer to keep the knee bent, and the intention of the asana then is to bring this knee forward towards the face. Last breath here. Really nice. Okay, right foot comes down, left foot comes down to meet the right. Gently rock the hips side to side. Hip flexors are getting a nice massage here. And then right foot onto left thigh. Flex the right foot. Pick up the left foot. Draw the knee into your chest. Chin to chest. Big deep breaths. Really nice. And again, you can straighten the left leg if you so wish, but you don't have to. I think it's nicer to keep it in. Okay, lovely. Drop the left foot down, right foot down, one more time. Heels in as close to your hips as you can. Lift the hips. Make sure the knees are pointing forward. Your hips are in line with your knees. Have a little look if you're unsure. Lifting up as high as you can. Just for one more breath. Okay, lovely. Legs, hips come down. Extend the arms forward and we'll come up into a nice seated asana. Take your hands onto the mat, knees back underneath the hips. We'll take some rounds of cat-cow. Inhale as you arch the back and look up. Exhale around the spine. Inhale, arch the back, lift up. Exhale around. Inhale, arch. Pause here for just a moment. And then come back to your flat back. Bring the left hand in slightly to the center. Extend the right arm away from you. And we'll extend the left leg away from the center. Now think about bringing the right arm in and the left leg in just a little bit. Just staying here in your balance. And then drop the hand, drop the knee. Right hand just centrally in, just a little bit. Left arm extends away. Right leg extends away. Pushing in. Hugging them in towards the center line, just for one more breath. Drop the left hand down and the right knee down. 3 more rounds of cat-cow. In and out. And in and out. Okay, sit back onto your heels. So we're going to take some low lunges, which will help to open the thigh muscles. And maybe we'll take a little bit of holding and leaning forward and opening the hip flexors a little bit more. You kind of stop at the point of degree that feels enough for your body. And each time you practice these asana, you'll find yourself hopefully getting a little bit more open and a little bit looser, especially through the thighs, where a lot of us runners carry a lot of tension in our body. So when you're ready, you can bring the right foot forward. Have your block close spine. It's just kind of for a touch point. You might use it. So in front or to the outside, whatever feels good for you. Now, take yourself forward. Just make sure you can see the toes. Reach the arms up by the ears here. Nice big high lunge or low lunge, but high in your body, high in your torso. Take your right hand onto the block and bring the left heel into the glute, taking hold of the front of the left foot. Looking straight ahead and maybe taking hold with the right hand, aligning your shoulders over your hips and lean forward. We're going to stay for just a breath or two. Really opening that left thigh. For one more breath, send your hips forward. Take the right hand back onto the block, the left hand down. Press the left hand down, move the block off, and we're going to step back into downward facing dog. Take your hips side to side. 3 breaths here. 2 breaths. 1 more breath. Look forward. Walk your feet up towards your hands. And we're going to take a nice big lengthening asana here. So press your hands into either your feet, into the ground or into your thighs. Lengthen the legs, lengthen the spine. Exhale and fold. Take your 2 hands underneath your feet, right to the point where the toes are touching off the wrists. Take your elbows out to the side and forward fold. 3 breaths here. 2. And 1 more breath. Release the hands, bring them back down onto the mat, and come back into that nice halfway lift. Hands come down and we'll step the right leg back, coming back into our lunge. Again, have the block close by. When you're ready, inhale, arms come up by the ears, lift up. Stay here for just a moment. So make sure that that front big toe is pressing down. So if you have any issues with the balance, make sure the toes are pressing down. Keep your block close by. If you want to use it, bring the right heel in, take hold of the foot with the right hand, maybe the left hand. Lean forward through your hips, bring the heel in. This might be your tighter or your looser side. So notice how it feels. For 3, for 2, for 1 more breath. Let go with the left hand, let go with the right, hands to the earth, and we'll step back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths in downward dog. 2 breaths. 1 more breath. Step forward to your hands, taking your time to get here. Arriving back into that nice halfway lift with long, strong legs, long, strong spine. Exhale as you fold. Rise up to standing. Bringing the arms the whole way overhead. Exhale, palms to prayer. 3 breaths here in standing asana. Relax your mouth, relax your jaw. 2 breaths. 1 more breath. Okay, really nice. So have the feet hip distance apart. And we're going to come up onto a little bit of balancing onto the toes and maybe take it back down onto our heels a few times as well. So Utkatasana is chair pose, and chair pose is exactly as it sounds like. You're taking the seat back and you're trying to feel like you're almost sitting into a chair. Now you can have your hands into prayer position. Sometimes it's taught with the arms up by the ears. You can sweep them up. If the arms are up, you might want to touch the fingers. It's all about the mobility, whatever you have, and range of motion in your shoulders. If you're coming with me into prayer position, have the elbows to the same height as the wrists. Take a nice big deep inhale and drop your seat. Nice big inhale and drop your seat. Now, come up onto your toes and drop the seat a little lower and lower, almost as if you're trying to sit onto your heels and lower. Really nice. Now come back up into original chair pose, nice and high. Squeeze the inner thighs, squeeze your glutes, and drop the heels and forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Lift up into your chair pose, either arms up or hands into prayer. Elbows to the same height as the wrists if you're in prayer. Come back up onto your heels, or off the heels onto your toes. 1 breath here, squeeze the inner thighs. Exhale, drop the heels, come back into regular Utkatasana. 2. Now we're going to take a twist. So straighten that right knee, lean forward, and then twist around to the right here, taking the left hand onto the front of the right foot. Right arm reaches up. Really get length here through that right side body. So push the right hip back as you reach the right arm up. For 3. For 2. And 1. Bring the right arm down, bend the right knee at the same time. 2 hands together in prayer. Nice long, tall spine. Now straighten the left knee. Rotate around to the left. Take the right hand onto the left foot. Left arm reaches up. For 3. For 2. For 1 nice big deep inhale and exhale. Coming back around, 2 bent knees, hands to prayer. Drop the seat. Drop the seat and we'll take Malasana or squat pose, opening the knees away from one another, sitting up nice and high. Again, have your block close by. There is nothing wrong with sitting onto the block and just being here, okay? But if you want to, practice. And as well, if the heels are up, okay, just sway side to side, okay? So you can be very, very tight in the groin area. You can be tight in the outer hip area. So you just literally sway side to side if the heels are up, okay? This allows you to get down a little bit further until eventually you find that nice low squat pose and you can hold it still, closing your eyes, dropping in for a few breaths. Really nice. Take the hands out in front of you, straighten the legs, gently sway side to side, maybe straighten the feet, move the block. We'll take the legs out nice and wide. Have the feet pointing straight ahead, toes pointing to the long side of your mat. Hands coming down underneath the shoulders. Again, actually the block can be lovely here if you want to have it in front of you. And we'll take the hands back behind us first. Interlace the fingers, roll the shoulders away from the center. Take a nice big inhale, lengthen through your head. And as you exhale, forward fold. Maybe the forehead reaches down onto the block. Don't worry if it doesn't. That's where you're thinking about. You're thinking about lengthening as you inhale, and as you exhale, you fold. One more time, inhale and lengthen. Exhale to fold. Release the hands. Take them down onto the mat in line with your feet if you can, or if you prefer to hold the toes, do that, or the ankles, whatever feels good. Drop the forehead. Again, if you don't need the block and you just want to take the head down onto the mat, go ahead and do that. It's completely up to you. But I think having the forehead resting onto the block is a really, really nice way of lengthening your side body. And again, we're being very conscious of our breath. We're connecting with that breath. If you think about being a couple of kilometers into your run and you still have a couple of kilometers to do, you want to create length. You want to create space. Bring oxygen in. Release stagnant breath. Inhale through the nostrils, big, big lengthening of the spine. Exhaling and releasing the head. One more breath there. Lovely. Press into your hands, come back up into halfway, little bend into the knees, hands onto the hips, come back up into standing. Rotate that right foot back around. We'll bring our block with us. We're going to come into Warrior Two. And from Warrior Two, we'll maybe take that back leg up and really activate that back leg. So Warrior Two, have that front heel in line either with the back arch or with the back heel. Bend into your knee and have your front block about a foot in front of the front foot. Okay, so, but make sure it's still on the mat, not onto the ground because it'll float away from you. Arms up high. And just make sure, take your time to be nice in your setup here. Nice few breaths here. Again, opening that lower side body. Breathing in and breathing out. One more breath here, breathing in fully and breathing out fully. Now bend into the front knee a little bit more. Take your right hand onto the block. And when you're ready, maybe taking a few times, you might not have done this before, you just press into that left leg, push out with that left heel. Take the block out a little bit wider if it feels better for you, and you're so light on that block that you're not actually pressing down. It's just kind of a touch point. And you can see the bottom knee here. I'm kind of keeping it a little bit bent, but when I'm ready, I straighten it and I open out and I extend through that left arm and through that left heel. For 3, for 2, one more breath. Bend into the front knee, take the back leg down, come back into your warrior, and we'll rotate around and bring that back knee down. Hands to the earth, looking forward into that lunge that we did at the start. Exhale as you straighten the knee and fold. Inhale as you bend into the knee, look up. Exhale as you fold. Inhale as you bend into the knee, look up. Exhale as you fold. Hugging the inner thighs. And you can see the knee isn't hugely straight, but you can get it as straight as you want and really hug those inner thighs together. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths. For 2. For 1 more breath. Bending into that front knee, bring the back leg in, and we'll take the right leg back. Rising up into our warrior on this side. I'm going to flip around to face you guys, turning around. So we're coming back into our warrior and we're bringing our block with us. And take your time, set yourself up. You want your legs about a leg's distance apart, so your legs distance apart. Front foot is 90 degrees, so it's pointing towards the top of the mat. Back heel is at an angle, as if you're trying to really push back with that heel. Bend into the front knee, extend the arms. Breathing in fully and breathing out fully. One more breath. And then reach forward. And again, take your time a few times. Lift up, lift down. You can bend into that front knee as much as you like. Pushing through that back heel, lifting up. Staying here for 3. For 2. One more breath. Bend into the front knee. Bring the back leg down, coming back up into the warrior. Rotate around onto the back toes. Drop the back knee. Hands to the earth. Inhale, bend into the front knee, lift up. Exhale, straighten the front knee and fold. Inhale as you bend into the front knee, lift up. Exhale as you fold. Inhale one more time, bend into the front knee, lift up. Exhale as you fold, relax and release with your breath. And bending into the front knee. Bring the front leg back to meet the back leg. And come into the center of the mat, into a nice seated asana. Roll the shoulders away from the center. And take a moment to notice how everything feels. Breathing in fully. And breathing out fully. Breathing in. And breathing out. And then when you're ready, you can gently blink the eyes open. So we're going to take one last pose, and then we'll take a nice little quiet, just maybe a minute or so of Shavasana. So the final pose we're going to take is Supta virasana pose. And it's quite a big pose, and it's one that you will have to practice a few times before you actually get the full pose. So if you can sit onto your heels like this, this is a variation of virasana. But what we're looking for hopefully is to take the legs onto the outside of the hips and let the hips fully sit down onto the mat. Now, what we're looking for here are the thighs to roll in and connect to one another and keep the knees down. So if none of that, if that doesn't feel good, this is where you just get your little block and you sit onto the block. And immediately you've taken any tension and any kind of tightness out of the knee joints. And we really do want to protect our knees. Obviously, we're load bearing into the feet and into the knees when we're running, especially when we're running on the roads. So we really want to try and get as much mobility into the joints as we can. And this is a lovely way to do it, but you need to practice safely and be very mindful of the movements in each part, okay? So sitting up onto a block or a few blankets can be a really nice way to get it into the pose, okay? So either with or without the block, completely up to you. So if you're using the block or the blankets, blankets are lovely to sit on, okay? You're just going to come back onto your hands, roll the shoulders away from one another, and you're going to gently maybe bend the elbows and play around with coming down a little bit, and you find what feels good for you, okay? So if you're sitting on the block, you just gently come down a little bit and you're opening the hip flexors, opening and releasing the psoas muscle, really inviting relaxation into this space. If you don't need the block, what you're going to do is come back one elbow at a time, keeping the chin low until you can lie down onto the mat, releasing the flesh of the bum, letting the lower back nice and long. Hands onto soles of the feet, chin is low. Nice big deep breaths here. And we're just going to stay here for about a minute. And the first time you try this, you might think, oh my God, this is this is awful. But you'll begin to love it. It becomes a pose that is really, really nourishing for your body. Last breath here. Well done. Okay, so to come out of it, keep the chin low, press into the elbows, press into the hands, bring the right foot forward and the left foot forward, and lie down back onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest, gently rock side to side. Gently roll the knees away from the center in the opposite direction. Bring your feet to the earth. Cross the right leg over the left and let the knees fall over to the right side. Keeping both shoulders pressed down, look over to the left. And here you're opening that whole side. So quite often we get quite tight in the IT band. So this is really releasing the side of the hip that inserts into the IT band. And then come back to center. Release the top leg, ground the hips. Release the right arm. Left leg crosses over right. Let the knees knock over to the left. Look over to the right. Ground that right shoulder. And you feel this lovely release all in that right hip area. Lovely. And then coming back to center. And we'll just take the legs nice and long away from us, and we'll take our two hands onto our heart. Breathe fully and deeply into the palms of your hands. Take your two hands onto your solar plexus, the space between the pelvis and the heart. Breathe fully and deeply into the palms of your hands. And take your hands onto your abdomen. Fully and deeply breathe in and breathe out. And know that when you are super tired or super stressed and the runs seem tough, that you have this amazing tool that you can use, your breath, directing your breath to the tired parts of your body, helping you to go a little bit further, a little bit faster with your run. And then rolling over onto your right side. Pressing into your left hand, making your way up into a seated asana. Bringing your hands together in prayer position. Take a nice gentle bow to yourself. Enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste.